We'll now speak to Marwan Bishara. He's Al Jazeera's senior political analyst, joining us from London. So, Marwan, just give me, first of all, your overall assessment as to what do you think the next few days may look like?
Well, clearly, the Iranians, the Hezbollah, Hamas, they're all kind of keeping it under wraps. And that's sort of to their advantage and to Israel's disadvantage, in the sense that keeping Israel on alert, keeping it nervous, keeping it on the defensive, and so on and so forth, of course, works to the advantage of those who are harboring a surprise come the next, God knows what, few days, weeks, we don't know. So I think in terms of time, this is now playing to the favor of those who want to retaliate to the attack both on Beirut and Tehran. But clearly something is coming, because both Iran and Hezbollah have made clear that this will not go unpunished, and that in terms of Hezbollah, this is going to have to be something more serious than we've seen before. The same thing goes for Iran, where clearly the highest authorities there have made the decision to take direct action against Israel. So I think these are going to be tense times moving forward, nervous times. And I think so many are preparing for that. Already the Europeans, some of them anyway, are asking their citizens to leave Iran. America is preparing itself more in the East Mediterranean. It doesn't look good.
Diplomatically, what could be going on? We understand there are certain maneuvers being made. You just spoke about the Americans. The New York Times also reports that the U.S. is sending more combat aircraft to the Middle East. But behind the scenes and in world capitals, what kind of conversations are being had right now, do you think?
Well, we know that the European Foreign Affairs higher command, as it were, Mr. Borrell, I've already told the Iranians in a conversation that that Europe understands that Iran, has a right to self-defense and so on. But I think beyond that, I think the United States, being the pyromaniac fireman it is, in the sense of speaking of diplomacy, whilst continue to support Israel's genocidal attitude, its war crimes, and its violations of different national sovereignties in the Middle East, once at this point in time, now that Israel carried its war crimes, carried its violations of other countries' sovereignties, to sort of calm down the tensions. We've seen that repeat itself again and again and again. It supports Israel on the one hand, and then it asks its allies and its nemesis to bring down the temperature, as it were. I'm not sure this is going to help this time around, unless the United States has something up its sleeves in the sense of some form of a compromise, some sort of a pressure on Israel, some form of an initiative, if you will, that could take out or deflame some of the tension coming out of Tehran and Beirut.
And in terms of how much support that the U.S. can actually shore up this time around, I mean, if we remember back in April when Iran retaliated and attacked Israel, the U.S. had a number of allies in the region that sort of helped with that attack. Is it going to be more challenging this time around? Will the Biden administration be able to mobilize that same international and regional coalition of countries?
Yes, since our last conversation, I've been actually thinking more and more about this. I think it's going to be far more difficult for the United States to shore up the kind of support it did back after October 7 last year, simply because the past 301 days of genocide, of war crimes, of crimes against Palestinian children and doctors and nurses and hospitals and entire families being destroyed, displaced, and so on and so forth. And with Israel not listening to the United States or to other European allies, not accepting a ceasefire, not working it out with the mediators, but rather putting obstacles. All of those reasons are going to make it far more difficult for the United States to justify why it's once again defending Israel, justifying Israel's actions, while allowing for a major escalation towards war in the Middle East. Clearly, some of its own Arab allies, and certainly many of its European allies, are not going to go down hell with it, in the sense of losing credibility, getting involved in war, and continue to support a fanatic fascist government in Israel that shows absolutely no remorse, shows absolutely no compromise, but rather continues on more of the same path of not only war crimes and the likes, but it also at the same time legislates in its parliament new laws, for example, against a two-state solution and the likes. So the United States has been put by the Netanyahu government in a corner. It's been squeezed, it's been manipulated, it's been blackmailed, and clearly it's been humiliated. So considering all of that, I think it's going to be far more difficult for the old man sitting in the White House to be able to shore up any serious support worldwide in favor of the fascists in Israel.
All right, Marwan Bishara, thank you so much.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.